So I guess this is the first time in me doing a vlog. It's not the first time I've videoed myself, but certainly the first time where I've spoke about myself, which I don't really like doing. Usually I like speaking about bodybuilding, about how we can change the physique over time. But I did put a poll out on Instagram and said, if you want me to document vlog prep, will you watch it? And if there's anyone watching, whether this is one person, 10 people, however many it is, then I'm grateful that you're following, this lanky guy from Dundee's journey. So I'm just going to do these weekly and give you an update. It's not going to be too long. It's not going to be as, Mr. Professional as I usually am. It probably still will be, but it's just going to be simply a case of me chatting shit about what I'm doing. It'll probably always come full circle and coming back to business because that is one of the main reasons that I'm doing prep, amongst all those other reasons that I'll go into. So I guess it all comes back to where it started for me, and I think that I would go back to 2016, and I'll attach this starting photo next so you could see. And then I'll attach sort of this week's check-in photo, which will give you a rough idea of how different I may be looking at said time frame. Now, back in 2016, I felt like I needed purpose. I felt like I was just going about the motions, and I kind of looked in the mirror one day and thought, is that it? Is that all I've got? Is that all I aspire to be? And it was literally like a flick of a switch moment for me that I just went, nah, enough's enough. One day I want to have a physique that I'm proud of. I want it to be up there for no other reasons apart from myself. So when you look at that first photo, please be aware that I wasn't tracking calories. I trained for years. I played basketball, that was my background. But I loved a night out. I loved a cheeky wee kebab. I didn't track my calories. I was working all hours under the sun. And training was something that I valued, but I didn't value anything else on top of that. I didn't value progression, I didn't value sleep, I didn't believe in stress, and I was a completely different person. So I said within that time frame, in 2016, I said, right, within the next 5 years, I will compete on stage as a bodybuilder. I knew I had to start somewhere, so I started with men's physique, as everybody does. So we competed in men's physique 2017, and I will attach in the video a photo of how I looked on stage. And to put myself back in that mindset, I had spent a good year and a half convincing myself in here that I was going to win. And I became obsessed with it, about simply winning a bodybuilding show. And it made me become so obsessive to the point that I'd have my quote-unquote cheat meal, let's say on a Friday night, and on the Sunday go to my mum's for dinner and take my own dinner with me because I'd already had my quote-unquote cheat meal that week. And when I look back now, I'm always thinking Vaughn, what the fuck were you doing? But at the time, that was just the norm for me. It's what I thought that's what you needed to do to be a bodybuilder, and I was going to do everything I could to win because I felt like that would make me feel good and give me gratification if I'd won a regional show. And my diet throughout the week was chicken white potato, chicken and sweet potato, chicken and rice, and steak and eggs. And that was really it. And again, that's how I believed you had to diet. And as I got to the end of that process, I was a horrible person to be around. If you knew me at the time frame, you probably would have known I wasn't interested in speaking to you if you weren't interested in my diet, my show. And I pushed a lot of people away, friends, family. I really became sort of withdrawn in my own bubble. At the time frame, I was living with an ex-partner who moved out 3 weeks before my show. So I very much felt quite alone finishing that prep. And it took a while for me. At that time frame, I said, I'll never compete again. Competing's not for me. But it kind of took for me to go there to realise never to do that again, and to never perhaps act like that again. And since then, there's been a lot of changes. I obviously worked with James Sutton, now James the Muscle Mentors, on Instagram, who completely revolutionised how I looked at food. He gave me a macro-based plan, and it went from like I'd eaten chicken and sweet potato or chicken and brown rice for a year to like, oh my God, I can have a chicken wrap, I can have a bit of pasta and I'm not going to get fat. And not only did he do that, he actually got my health back on track, changed my complete opinion and outlook on anabolics themselves. And I ran way less with James than I ran with my coach before that. And when I look back, it was just so silly for me to be running those dosages. But again, I was just following kind of instructions, following orders, and I thought, I used to be of the concept that it was the drugs that done the work, so more was better. So at the time, the coach I had was saying, take this, take that, take this, take this, and I thought, brilliant, I'm going to get huge. And really, there came a point where I realised it wasn't about that. The drugs will help recovery, but ultimately I just needed to spend years in the trenches just getting stronger, getting stronger, getting stronger. So in 2017, I kind of said, right, I'll never compete again. I took the whole 2018 off, and then 2019, this year, again I said to myself I'd never compete again. So instead I did a photo shoot, and it was 8 weeks. I done that for. I'll attach a transformation photo to this clip as well, so you could see what I'd done in those 8 weeks. I got fairly lean, and I probably could have stepped on stage. My glutes weren't in, so I wasn't necessarily quote unquote peeled all the way in, but probably could have went and done a regional and done all right. And it was only after PCA Scotland I saw a guy called Jamie pose. He's from Kirkcaldy. He was definitely the inspiration for me to decide I wanted to do classic bodybuilding. One of the reasons I didn't want to compete this year was I still didn't feel really big enough. And I watched PCA Scotland, I watched Jamie win it. How he posed was one of the main reasons why he won it. He wasn't the guy up there with the biggest legs. It aesthetically looked amazing, very pleasing to the eye. But it's how he posed and the effect he had on the audience. And I kind of just said, I want to do that. So it added to this sort of idea in my head that I wanted to be as a bodybuilder, but I just knew I didn't want to be a class 1 freak. Like, I've no interest in taking growth hormone or insulin or anything like that. I said, but one, I know I could probably be a graceful ballerina if I wanted to be. And two, when I looked at the guys on stage, I was big enough at the time. And that was in April. And since then, I've had a big gaining phase and a recomp. And I'm now currently 13 weeks out from the first planned show. So right now, Callum is doing my prep at the moment. He's a good friend, someone I've known for about 3 years. I've recently had him on a podcast. But when it came to who was going to prep me, I could have done it myself, but I don't want to. I'm very focused on business at the moment and serving my clients and driving the brand forward, that I knew that come show day, when I have 5 clients competing on the same days, I'll just put so much more effort into prepping them, peaking them, and then look at myself last. So I said, what I need is I just need someone that I can be accountable to. I could send over this, that, and the next thing, my photographs and whatnot, and then just tell me what to do. And then as I'm perhaps assessing my clients, I can just be popping rice cakes because I've woke up, I've taken a video, I sent it over, and then boom, straight into the working day. And Cal was the only option for me because he's very like-minded, and a lot of what I do is based on the sort of fundamentals from the M10 days where him and James used to work there. I took those methodologies and used them for myself, put my own spin on them. So I knew he was like-minded in that sense, and I also knew he was like-minded in the drug sense as well, in regards to less is more. So to give you an example, I'm 12 weeks out and I'm currently running 350 milligrams of test enanthate, the same dosage of mast, enanthate and primo. Now, those dosages will get higher as prep goes on, but ask someone else who's a bodybuilder that is 12 weeks out what they're on. I guarantee, 100% guarantee those dosages are higher. But it's all person dependent, right? When I get my bloods done, my test levels go very high off not a big dose. So my doses will never be as high as someone who perhaps doesn't have the prerequisite to have high levels of a minimal dose. For example, like Ali, one of my good friends and soon to be coaches, on the same dosage of test, he was at like 36 nanomole per litre. I was up at 123. There's the same batch number, the same labs. We're running CIS labs at the time. So it just kind of shows you the difference between the two. Now, in saying that, like prep has officially started today, but I've been in that mindset for so long. Like for me, prep is always ongoing. It's just where you are in the journey, whether you're at the bulking phase, the recomp phase, or the diet phase, the habits, the routines, the structures, it's all the same. I'm a creature of habit, is what I do. So the calories being dropped slightly to where they're at now is no biggie. It's just a case of, okay, let's have another week. And I think that right now I'm so fixated on like business and life goals that the bodybuilding is it's just automatic. It's not a case of, there's no pressure upon myself. There's no, all becoming thoughts of I need to do this, that, and the next thing. It's just a case of, okay, this is what I need to do for social media for my strategy this week. This is the client I need to set up. These are the check-ins I need to do. This is what time I'm training at. This is what time I've got that call at. And like the days are just so structured that I honestly, like Cal said today, we're 13 minutes out. And I was just like, what? I hadn't even thought of that. However, the clients a few days before that, I was saying we're 13 weeks out because I was more focused on their journey than mine. So before, when I competed, it was this all too consuming thought of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I need to win, blah, blah. Whereas now, like my reasonings behind wanting to do it is, well, number one, I want to prove myself wrong. It was 2015, I was playing golf and I was walking up Camperdown. It's a golf course in Dundee, for those that aren't aware. I was walking up the fairway and I was playing with my good buddy, John Buston, and he lives in Canada. And John, if you're watching, I hope you're well. I was playing with him and I was playing with my best man at my wedding, Stephen Lyle. And I remember I was eating a Tesco meal deal, like wrap, a packet of crisps and like a chocolate bar. And I remember saying to myself, like, oh, those bodybuilding guys, I can never do it because I can never stick to the diet. So for me, there's a bit of like a chip on my shoulder. Like, yeah, I've dieted before, but I've never stepped on stage as what I would class as a bodybuilder. So that's it for me, is proving myself wrong. But also I think part of what I do, I want to set a standard for clients and have something for them to follow. And I think that if I show a good example of this is how you prep, this is how you deal with the highs, this is how you deal with the lows, it could just then be like a pinnacle of the iceberg for them to look up to. So it'll get them through the tough days. And ultimately, like as an online physique coach or a prep coach, whatever you want to call it, if you can't get shredded yourself, you're just not going to be able to get anyone shredded. So I guess that every time I diet and prep, it's a learning curve for me. I learn a little bit more about who I am as a person, the resolve I have, but ultimately like what I need to change on like a level of just who I am, and as a fiance, as a brother, as a son, as a coach, as a friend. Like it ultimately just, it shows a lot about yourself. So it's why I'm like, at times I could seem like a bit of an arse, and if you don't know me, you probably will think that because I won't give people the time of day. And it's just that if I keep my circle very small, and if I feel that something's not adding value to or joy to my life, I don't really give it the time of day. And it's why perhaps I might come across as cocky or arrogant or whatnot, but when you get to know me, you'll understand that that's just not who I am. But that's just because I've learned over time to just cut out the bullshit and negativity, because ultimately that would just lead to not living as a happy, fulfilled life. And bodybuilding gives me a whole load of joy and fulfillment. Helping others gives me that more so. I think that seeing a client do well in regards to changing their body, it doesn't necessarily need to be stepping on stage, gives me so much more joy than it does doing it myself. And any good coach, I think, will attest that, because we'll always feel it's easy for us to do. It's easy for us to diet. Like, for me, I've got a good relationship with food. I have no crux to it. I can be hungry, I can suffer, I can feel shit, I can stay up on the couch and get the lack of sleep. But some clients perhaps can't. And it's just being able to coach someone through that and support them mentally, not just physically in their journey, I feel is something that very few people in this world will get an opportunity to do. And it's why I'm really, really fucking grateful for the job I do and being able to call what I do work. Waking up every day and being able to do that is something I'll never take for granted. So if you're watching this and I'm working with you now, or have worked with you, thank you for making what I do possible. If this vlog series simply gives you a laugh at who I am really as a person, and not the whole Mr. Professional, then that's great. If you like it, share it, do whatever you do. But that's pretty much it, wrapped up in regards to why I'm competing. First show is the 29th of March, IBFA Inverness, and then the week after it's Granite City in Aberdeen. And I've got to do class 1 in those federations, because I'll miss the classic, or they call it Mr. Athletic weight limit. My stage weight will be too heavy for that, so they are certainly warm-up shows. And then the main one is PCA Scotland, which I have no weight limit for classic tall bodybuilding. And then the week after, so we've kind of went 29th of March, 5th of April, 12th of April is PCA, then the week after that, on the 18th of April is UKUP Kent. That is the only shows that are scheduled at the current moment. I would have loved to have done 2 bros, but unfortunately we are flying to the Canary Islands on the 14th of March, the regionals on the 15th of March, so I'll miss that. We are going there for my 30th, so I will be in the Canary Islands when I am about 8 days out. So those of you that say that you can't go away, can't go on holiday and prep, I'll show you that you absolutely can. In regards to like what the aim is, the objectives are for the upcoming shows, it will be to win the classic class at PCA Scotland and UKUP. These are goals that it's not something I've set myself. It's certainly something that Cal has set for me and somewhat placed, not an expectation, but just a value of what he feels is doable. And I'm 100% on board with that. But again, I'm of the full realization that you can only present your physique in the best way possible, and you're in no control of who shows up. There might be some absolute big bastard who's very graceful that will show up and just put me to shame. The first two, the first one is just a small show up in Inverness, where perhaps there'll only be like one or two, maybe 3 class 1s. And then the second show, I'm not too sure, it's the first show in Aberdeen, Granite City. I think it's going to be a big one. I think for me, the ultimate goal in those two will be to place. I will potentially be going up against guys that might have 10, 12 kilos on me. So if I can outpose them, out-angle them, then that'd be absolute class. But as I said, they are trial loads, and pretty much just an opportunity for me to experience what it's like to pose as a bodybuilder and not just a physique guy. Get experience so that when we have the main event PCA and we have the main event at UKUP, that I'm confident, I'm standing there waiting to get on and have been through the process before. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this 20-minute rant, and look out for next week's episode.